got the juice now, man.
Yeah. They jump on the mic smooth as well. It's a lyrical sound to the geezer.
Good morning, my neighbor.
How you doing? How you doing? How you doing?
Welcome to Okay Blue Juice. This one, as you can see, is all about AI. They are really gonna walk us down with this AI, ain't they? Every time I turn around, something else is trying to shove AI down my throat. Like, it's getting ridiculous. My email, Google's gone crazy. AI's everywhere. You put in a simple search, the AI overview comes at the top. Most of the time it's bullshit. It's pulling from whatever it can find, which is fine. But honestly, that's just what the rest of your searches are for. Is it really that hard to just click on those things?
It's getting weird.
This thing that I used to do my thumbnails, Photor, they have AI. They had AI for a minute now. It's really annoying. And I know a lot of people use it in ways that I can understand why they use it. So maybe they're a small business or they're one person and they have a very, very, very limited budget, aka zero. And they use these applications to generate images that will help them with their business, you know. And a lot of people are like, pay an artist. And I think in my heart of hearts that a lot of people would, but they want to respect artists' prices. My heart goes out to companies that don't have the money but need something to start. And I think that's when it becomes a helpful tool. But the catch-22 about that is because AI can't self-create yet.
He was not in the least bit scared.
And so when it's pulling images, it is known to pull images from other people's stuff because that's the stuff that's its source material from, you know, the World Wide Web. That's where the catch-22 comes in, because you're generating things, sourcing it from other people's stuff. Surely there must be some other way. For instance, before AI got the way it is now, I did run a magazine. I still run the magazine. It's kind of...
Okay.
When I was doing it in the very beginning, I took all the photos, like, myself. I opted for photo myself. My sister is another part of the company. I had her doing me favor because she's a drawing artist, so she helped fill some of the magazine. And then I used the money that I had from my jobs, and I was paying, at the time, the very first cover we outsourced, I paid an entire artist a lot of money, and I think it was worth it because it was, to me, it was very good looking art. It looked very much so the direction that we wanted to go in, so it was worth it to just save up my own money. So those are some ideas. I know some people use credit cards and stuff, but I suggest if your money is tight, just forego, if you have a credit card to begin with. Just don't use credit cards for things like that. It gets really, I don't know. You know what? I'm actually not going to tell you what to do.
That's your responsibility.
So those are the options besides using AI to generate things like your logos and stuff like that. Especially logos. Some artists will commission, especially if it's a small logo that you just want the rights to because it's your idea, you just don't know how to draw. If you do like a rudimentary sketch, or if you can't draw at all, just a very good description, and you ask somebody that you need just like a PNG file for said logo, and then you can use that logo everywhere as long as it's big enough. You can shrink it or enlarge it and it won't lose its pixelation. That's another thing humans know how to do that maybe AI won't be prompted to do. I think it's better just to invest in that. Is not terribly expensive to get a logo of your own creation done. A lot of people work on very fair commissions because I'm not going to quote prices because I don't want y'all running around thinking those are the prices. but stuff like that. So there's different ways to go about it when you have limited resources. And I think that's why a lot of people are pissed off. They're not necessarily, though, pissed off at people with limited resources. They're pissed off because it's these billion-dollar companies that are constantly purporting the use of AI. Like I said, Google can't possibly need more money. They can't possibly be stretching the budget thin on fucking marketing or whatever. Like, you're Google. You take our money every day.
Give me your fucking money!
You own YouTube. There's that. There's places like Amazon that use AI to re-engineer your searches. You're like, AI assisted search. It's like, I don't need that. I don't need that. I came to you. I'll tell you what I'm looking for. Don't. Then there's commercials all the time that are using AI. Especially commercials on YouTube. There are so many AI commercials on YouTube. Have y'all seen them? They're always like about car insurance. And then I just heard there's fake AI accounts. Fake accounts using AI, or actually they're real accounts, fake people on the accounts, and they're like makeup artists. There's TikTok shops, there's people telling story times. It is absolutely everywhere, to the point where you're just like, why are y'all shoving this down my throat so hard, especially when so many people don't want it.
It could have been a scheme that Todd set up for him to come to you with the bullshit.
I know some things were fun, like I want to say like a year ago now, my boyfriend had found a channel on YouTube, and it's like these aliens, and it's just basically always like a interview style. They're like interview style videos of these aliens and stuff, and it looks like, you know, CGI, but turns out it was like AI CGI. He hasn't watched that in months, but you know, channels like that they were fun. People were using it to make content. I also seen people use it as the artwork when they're doing storytelling on YouTube a lot. So people will be telling like a fable or a tale or some sort of folklore, and they'll be using AI images that they generated to be the visuals while they tell the story. But it has fully infiltrated. And then they have like Alexa ++++, and that's full of AI. And I'm like, how the AI gonna have AI? Like, this is getting out of control. It's like a dog having a dog, like Goofy owning Pluto. I don't know how to feel except annoyed by the constant push, because the constant push feels like they have spent billions of dollars on this thing and they want to squeeze every drop that they can out of it. But I'm like, why did you go spend billions of dollars on a thing that nobody asked you for? Nobody asked you. It's like people who are running these billion-dollar companies, or maybe this is all pressure from the owners of the company or something who don't know anything about business. Oftentimes, the person who owns the company doesn't know shit. And so they have these ideas and they have all this money that they've amassed, and they're trying to figure out more ways to spend it without actually losing the money outside the company. And so you come up with things like that, like giving your AI. Then they're like, well, what are we supposed to do with it? And they're like, I don't know, but you're gonna think of something. I spent $14 billion on it. Find it, put it in the juice.
Jump on the mic smooth as well. It's the lyrical sounds of the geezer.
Hey, I'm tripping, I'm sliding, I'm riding through the back like
I've already expressed my personal opinions. Now it's time for facts. And fact is that AI is being looked at from an executive point of view as a labor cost saving option. And company executives are willing to pitch the idea that spending billions of dollars on it will put them at the cutting edge of their industry, all while saving on paying actual people for the same labor as cost of living rises and people rightfully demand more money. So if companies are being sold the promise of the golden age of AI, who is doing the selling? Well, let me read out these names. It's companies like Palantir, IBM, Alphabet, aka the parent company of Google, Nvidia, Meta, AWS, or the parent company of Amazon, and OpenAI, Anthropic, Apple, and TSMC. TSMC is a company that supplies chips and other hardware supplies to companies like Nvidia. And when I say it's everywhere, it's everywhere. It's been everywhere for a long time, but it feels like they're really ramping it up with these companies at an arms race with each other. It's like the Cold War, but with AI. Everyone wants to be on top. Everyone wants to be the leading company with the best, the fastest, the most powerful AI. That's what it looks like to me. For example, in finance, AI is used for things like data analytics, optimization, optimizing portfolios. And when I say portfolios, I mean investment portfolios for businesses, individuals, clients, and firms alike. You know, all of these places use AI sometimes to help with portfolio optimization, meaning which, like, assessing risks, doing sensitivity analysis to make sure that the portfolio will perform, you know, maybe past benchmark, or maybe, what is it, above benchmark, I should say. The correct terminology, excuse me. I'm not an investment banker. It's also used to forecast trends, and forecast trends means like maybe in finance, the company or whoever is using the AI is trying to understand maybe the trend of another company that they're about to acquire or merger with. They're trying to forecast the trends, or they're forecasting their own trends so that they can give information to potential investors or current stockholders or shareholders, whatever you want to call them. Stuff like that. So forecasting trends is when you it's exactly what it sounds like, but to explain further, it's when you are looking forward at using the information that you already have. So using historical data from the company. Say, let's give a good example. Say I am a company Blue Juice here. And company Blue Juice, we're putting out our yearly financial statements and whatnot so that our investors can look, our shareholders, stockholders, any potential investors can all look at this. We're a public company, let's say. Private companies do this too for their own decision-making purposes, but we'll say we're public. And at company Blue Juice, we use all our information. We started up in 2020 in the middle of COVID, and we use all the information from 2020 to 2025 because 2025 is a completed year at this point. So all the numbers for 2025 are in. And so we will take all of that information, look at the trends for certain criteria. So it depends on what the trend we're looking for. If we're looking for sales, if we're trying to forecast a sales trend, we would look at our sales numbers. And for the last 5 years, we would look at what they were doing and try to see what they will continue to do. So if they were pretty volatile, going up and down, but we changed a lot of things and it started to just stabilize and go up in 2023 and 2024, 2025, it was still going up. We would forecast, that would help us forecast a trend that maybe we are on an upward trend. So that's forecasting trends. It can be anything. Forecasting trends is basically just using your historical data to figure out what you might do potentially in the future. Okay. In finance, they use AI for direct to customer instances. And that is like the little chat bot that pops up on the bottom of the screen when you first come to maybe your banking page or whatever, you know, or like if you have an investment profile like Charles Schwab, there's a little bot that shows up in the bottom corner and it's always asking like if you need some help, and it has like automated prompts. This is not the same thing as when you physically go into your retail bank online to chat. When you click the chat and you have to wait for an agent, that is usually not a bot. Okay? 10 out of 10 times. I'm not gonna say 10 out of 10. Nothing is absolute. So I'll say like 9 out of 10 times, that is a real person you're talking to. So that's a real person back there. Don't you watch your mouth. And fraud detection. I don't know if I mentioned that already because I've gone on 2 explanations now. But fraud detection is another really big one. In the medical field, AI gets used in imaging analysis, identification and diagnosis assistance, surgery assistance, like robotic arms and stuff for intricate, very tiny incisions, genetic data, clinical work, and the most obvious consumer capabilities like wearable tech. which will be your aura wing. Aura. How do you say it? The heart monitor on your Apple Watch, blood pressure machines that hook up and go send the information straight to your doctor's office. All of those things. In architecture and construction, AI is used for things like inventory management, analyzing consumer trends, forecasting building costs with the variables so it can set up all kinds of different situations and simulations and figure out how much the building materials and labor would cost somebody, and that helps people, management or the executives. It informs their decision on whether they'll go through with a project in a certain area or how they go through with it, what materials they would use, etc. Making simulations of schedules of said building. That's probably help project managers a lot, making schedule timelines, and also collecting and analyzing data such as land samples, because little did you know, or little did I know, little did anyone who's not in the field know, a lot of people have to do land samples. That's how you get stuff built on top of things that shouldn't be built on, or in a sinkhole, because someone didn't do proper land sample and they didn't do proper data samples. And that could be construction, sourcing materials from the right places, etc., etc. I'm not an architect. Every industry has some sort of long-term use for AI that has helped the actual people in the industry actually do their job with more efficiency and with more accuracy. To use finance as an example, in retail banking, AI might be used for fraud detection, like I mentioned earlier, meaning there's a software that they use to analyze all their account holders' patterns in a way, so that when something seems out of the norm by amount, location, and location of spending in comparison to a certain mile radius around their home location, and rapid succession spending is another one that will tick off some fraud detection. Anything that's usually not seen by said account holder. It either locks the account quietly and waits for the owner to contact the bank and confirm their identity and activity with a real person. Then they do what's necessary in the back office or at their back end and then get the account and or the card unlocked. So that's how they work in tandem, because it might get triggered by AI, but you have to talk to a real person who then further authenticates you, the situation, everything about it, kind of like a safeguard. Nothing beats talking to a real person when it comes to matters of medicine, money, and living. All right, so do what you will with that. The ethical problem is when AI is used to circumvent real people. It's the biggest worry of the labor force, people versus machines. Because time has shown us that executives don't see machines as assistants like they do when they want to sell you one. They see them as cheaper, unregulated labor. Labor they can run for hours and hours with no pay besides servicing and maintenance. Then they require that job that probably needs 2 to 3 people to be done by one person. Most times on contract, sometimes with no benefits. It always reminds me of the movie Desk Set. If you don't know, I love old movies, and when I say old movies, that is completely relative to my age. Old movies to me are things from 1960 and before. So it's starring Spencer Tracy and Katharine Hepburn, and the premise of Desk Set is that Katharine Hepburn is like a lead researcher at this television station. She is basically mother hen in this place. She is lead researcher, and then Spencer Tracy shows up and he's digging around, he's taking measurements, he's looking up stuff, watching them, and she don't like it. And basically it comes out that he is the new computer guy, and he's got a whole computer that he named something like a part of the acronym of the computer. It's a supercomputer, and the supercomputer is coming to the research lab. So all the ladies are in a tizzy right now, especially Katharine Hepburn, and she's fighting with Spencer Tracy about it because she's like, you just want to replace us? I saw what happened down there at payroll. They got that new computer and all this stuff, and things are going crazy. And then craziness ensues. Not to spoil like a 50, what? Maybe like 50, 60-year-old movie at this point, but not to spoil it. But the point is, at one point, like, some pink slips came and fired everybody, and they were like, "We knew it! Your computer was here to replace us all along." And he's upset because he's like, "No, it's supposed to be helping you." He's coming into it very innocently. You guys should go and watch it unfold if you like old movies, or if you like Katharine Hepburn, or if you like Spencer Tracy. Without turning this into a movie review, basically Spencer Tracy's character is telling them that the computer is supposed to be their helper. It's supposed to be their second hand. It's supposed to help them not have to run up and down so much trying to look for the answers. Even though they have everything indexed properly, you still have to go and get it. You can't probably remember every single thing. So the things you don't remember, you have to go get. So this machine is supposed to help them with that recall information, do things a lot faster, get more work done, because they're gonna get more work. So essentially, this is how AI is purported to be. You've seen the commercials with people in these family businesses on a farm always telling us that they turn to ChatGPT to figure out, how much corn to feed their chickens. I don't know. People are using these AI applications to make decisions that anyone with experience and or education should be able to figure out, and that's what makes it foolish to me. Like, you wouldn't settle for a nurse that had to ask ChatGPT how to properly measure out your medicine. You wouldn't eat, or you wouldn't want to eat at a restaurant where the chef had to ask Claude AI how long to boil a chicken until it's done. I'm not saying professionals shouldn't be allowed to use resources. And people seem to genuinely think that these kinds of searches are pretty innocuous, that the constant use of these mini recall machines that have already been proven to not be totally reliable in the way of facts are a harmless way to use AI. But life has shown us over and over again that nothing in this life that is convenient is without cost. The UN estimated that by 2027, global demand for AI will make it so data centers are going to be using from 4.2 to 6.6 billions cubic meters of water. For scale, I just put it 5 billion. 5 billion is 264 5-gallon water jugs. So a 5-gallon water jug is the one that you see in the machine, the one you got to pick up all crazy and put in the machine, usually at an office cooler or in your house if you live in an apartment, most likely, or you have that little machine with the water jug. That's the 5-gallon jug. You need 264 billion of those to feed the global output demand that AI data centers will be using. Okay, so that's just for scale. Solutions? I'll get to that in a bit.
You got the juice now, man.
So, now that we've covered that, solutions. I will link a bunch of articles that talk about the possibilities of different things in the description box below. One of the very good points that I saw, a recurring point in some articles coming out of Europe and some articles coming out of just different places, that people want to shrink the data centers. Basically, somebody has come up with a way to route most of the information that the data centers are processing through more local servers. And so they have a bunch of smaller local servers that don't have such an environmental or spatial impact in different places, routing way more stuff than the really big data centers. This is America. So I'm not sure, they're making these big deals because they want land. That's really what it is. Ignore the effects because they want that land. And putting a big old data center there is a way to tie that land up for a while. But if you make it a smaller place, I would assume that it would have less environmental impact, less disturbance on wildlife. Another point is not so much physical, but it's more actionable. And it's just, for everyone to just really limit how much they use it. You don't have to settle for getting spoon-fed everything. Someone has made the food. All you have to do is pick up the spoon. That's just what a normal search will do. You can just go through the links. It's okay. You might discover new things, fun things that way. I don't know, but just limit how much you use AI in your everyday life. That's from the personal side. If you're someone who feels like you want to do something personally that feels like an action, that feels like a proactive step, that's something you can do. But I always caution people to think, I caution people against thinking that the entire onus for the things that happen in this world are only on individuals. People do need to work as a collective. The companies have a large part in what they need to be doing. But it does help to tell individuals, because sometimes those individuals are able to organize. Blah, blah. All that to say, I'm only talking about limiting stuff not because it's solely your responsibility to environmentally curb the effects of AI. It is companies. It's just sometimes people feel like they want something they can do instead of just talking about all the things that corporations and stuff that feels like it's out of your hands, even though technically it doesn't have to be. But this is something directly actionable. You can also limit your support in the AI features from these companies. So if you have Gmail, you do not have to, engage with the AI that they put on the email. You don't have to engage with the AI overview in your search. I don't know how to turn that off yet, but somebody, if you have figured it out, let me know, because it's actually really annoying. I'm going to go into something and look that up, and if I find out, I will definitely post it here. And stop using ChatGPT in school. It's okay to learn. I know that there's a time crunch, and if you're like any normal person, you're probably also working multiple jobs while you're in school. We have all been here before. ChatGPT should not be the way you do every single homework. I will say, online courses always have discussion boards. You have to respond to people. You have to have 2 statements or whatever. It's always like 2 responses at least. So I'm going through picking which ones I'll respond to, just because like something that sounds interesting that I can actually have thoughts about. So I'm going through the discussion board trying to find something that I can actually have some thoughts about. So I'm reading, and I usually just pick one that sounds interesting and has some thoughts that I actually have an opinion about, because it makes it a lot easier to get through it. You only have 2 responses. It might as well be something you actually want to talk about. So I'm reading it, and I'm like, all right, well, I won't use that one because it didn't really have any thoughts that I had specific thoughts about, so I didn't know what to add, so I skipped it. I go to the next person, and I'm reading it, and then I'm like, did I just read this? Because, I have multiple tabs open, so I open every response in a new tab until I find the ones I want to respond. So I click on that, and I'm thinking, oh, am I in the same tab? Hold on. And I check, and I'm like, wait. And I look back, and I'm like, wait. So I'm in 2 different tabs, same fucking response. And then I'm like, all right, whatever. So I click them out just to keep myself straight. I go to the 3rd response, and I'm like, I know this ain't the same motherfucking response. I don't know when this stopped, but damn. And I have a mirror here on purpose just for that reason. It was disappointing because these are literal thoughts. It's a discussion board. And we constantly talk about people not critically thinking. Nobody want to use their brain. No one, comprehension's at an all-time low. No one has any outside of internet connections. And then something as simple as doing a homework that just asks for your thoughts. You're copy and pasting out of ChatGPT. You couldn't even word for word, these people had the same thing. And I'm like, y'all couldn't even, if you're gonna cheat, you can't even thoroughly cheat now. Add your own 2 cents, just a little bit. Make it unique a little bit, so that maybe I couldn't tell that 5 people had wrote the same motherfucking thing. That was wild. That was wild to me. Anyway. So yeah, that's it.
You get nothing else from me today. Goodbye.
You got the juice now, man.
Yeah. They jump on the mic smooth as well. It's the lyrical sounds of the geezer.